All right, so let's take a look at our line plot. First, let's read our information. Matt works in customer support for a coffee company. Customers have been complaining that the amount of coffee in a standard package varies greatly from day to day. A standard package should contain exactly 16 ounces. Matt measures the exact amount of coffee in ounces in each package and records it in the line plot below. Use the graph to answer questions 17 through 24, or 1 through 8 in our case. So here is our line plot. We have our title, which is the amount of coffee in each package sold. And then we have our ounces down here. So if we look at this, we know that the amount of coffee in each package sold is what's being represented. So that means that our X's represent each package. So 1X is one package. So each of these X's represents one package of coffee. Down below, this is 14.5 ounces, 15 ounces, 15.5 ounces, 16 ounces, 16.5 ounces, 17 ounces, and 17.5 ounces. So this is the weight of the packages. Notice that none of the packages ever were 15 ounces. So now that we've kind of looked at our line plot and understand how to read it, let's take a look at question number 1. If a standard package of coffee in it is supposed to have exactly 16 ounces, how many packages had the correct amount? Well, we've got some key words here. Exactly. If it is exact, that means it has to be 16 ounces. It can't be a little more, it can't be a little less. It has to be exactly 16 ounces. So I'm going to go up to my line plot and I'm going to find where the 16 ounces is. Here it is. Now, if I look above it, each X represents one package for 16 ounces. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, so how many packages are exactly 16 ounces? You would record your answer in Go Formative here. Okay, now let's take a look at number 2. It is more common that you would get a is it more common that you would get a package with more than 16 ounces of coffee or less than 16 ounces of coffee? So remember, this is our exact mark. The exact amount that the company wants is 16 ounces. But if we look, we notice that hasn't happened yet. So they want to know, more often are people getting packages with more than 16 ounces? So more than is a key word. And then it wants to know, or are people getting more packages that have less than 16 ounces? So let's take a look here. If I look, I'm first going to find all of my packages that have more than 16 ounces. So I know that 16.5 is more than 16. Just like if somebody is 16 and someone is 16.5, the person who's 16.5 is a little older than someone who's 16. Just like if something weighs 16.5 ounces, it weighs a little more than 16 ounces. So if I know that 16.5 ounces is more than 16, then 17 is more than 16 too. And if 17 is more than 16, then 17.5 is more than 16 also. So each of these packages are more than 16 ounces, which if I count them up gives me a total of 6 packages that are more than 16 ounces. Well, now let's look at the second part of the problem. It wants us to look at less than 16 ounces. Well, let's think about age again. If there's someone who is 16 and there's someone who's 15.5, the person who's 15.5 is a little younger than 16. Just like if something weighs 16 ounces, something that's 15.5 ounces is a little less than 16. Well, if 15.5 is less than 16, then 15 is less than 16, and 14.5 is less than 16. So now I'll look at each package that is less than 16. Well, if I look at all my packages less than 16 ounces, I have 3. So now using this information, I'll answer question number 2. So is it more common, or would you more often get a package with more than 16 ounces or less than 16 ounces? Well, which one seems to occur more often? That would be the one that you would put for answer 2. Okay, question number 3. How many packages contained 14.5 ounces of coffee? All right, I'm going to go here. Notice it wants us to look at ounces. It wants one that is exact, 14.5 ounces of coffee. Well, I just go up to my line plot and I want to find the 14.5 ounces. Oh man, there it is, 14.5 ounces. Now I will look above it. Remember, each X represents one package of coffee. Well, this is how many packages are 14.5 ounces. Now I'm going to record my answer here and go formative for question number 3. All right, number 4. How many packages contained more than 17 ounces of coffee? Well, I don't know about you, but I heard another key word. I heard more. More than 17. So that means it can't be 17 because 17 equaling 17 is equal. It's not more. So I'm not going to include my 17. I want to know everything that's greater than it. Well, 17.5 ounces is more than 17 ounces. So I know that this is how many packages of coffee weighed more than 17 ounces. I would record my answer for question 4 for goal formative. Okay, let's take a look at question number 5. Now this is tricky. Matt threw away all the packages with less than 16 ounces. How many ounces of coffee did Matt throw away? So when you first look at this, you might think, oh, I'll just count the X's, right? So Matt threw away all the packages that were less than 16 ounces. So I would highlight all of my packages less than 16 ounces. Let's see, 15.5 is less, 15 is less, and 14.5 is less. Well, remember, the X's represent packages. They don't represent ounces. So if I look at this, I know this is 14.5 ounces for this package. But there's two packages that each weigh 15.5 ounces. So I've got to find the total amount of ounces for these packages. So if I have two packages that are each 15.5 ounces, I would add 15.5 plus 15.5. Well, I can go ahead and add because my denominators are the same. 1/2 plus 1/2 would give me 2/2, and 15 plus 15 is 30. Well, wait a minute. 2/2, that's 1 whole. So I would just move that 1 whole over, and it's 31. So this is 31 ounces of coffee for 15.5 total. Well, now I've got to combine all of my ounces to find out the total amount of ounces that were thrown away. So I would add 31 plus 14.5 ounces. Well, if I add them, this is half, because half plus nothing is just a half. 4 plus 1 is 5, and 3 plus 1 is 4. Oh, so how many ounces were tossed out? We would record that for number 5. All right, I'm actually going to stop this video and record another one to finish questions 6, 7, and 8. So tune in.